the opportunity to say, have we read this correctly? We're on the right track, and there is actually an opportunity to do a bit of, in fact, there's a huge opportunity to do some shaping if that's what we want to do. So this is the takeover bid for, it's not ready. So this is about setting priorities for policy-focused World Urban Parks, and that's the outline we'll go through, and we'll probably do this a bit quicker than we might otherwise have. But, so the advocacy happens underneath this vision statement. People value, have easy access to quality urban parks, open space and recreation. And this is the purpose, forum for exchange of ideas, and what it means is making a difference, sharing knowledge, and being the solution. Not contributing to the solution, but being the solution. And all this is wrapped up under the ABC, or World Urban Parks Advocacy, Best Practices and Collaboration. And National Parks South Australia is a big push behind this as well.
Pardon?
The National Parks South Australia.
Yeah, sponsorship. Yeah, primary sponsor taking leadership on urban advocacy in national park cities.
Yeah. So in terms of leadership, everyone's got a role in this. People can pitch in and make a contribution. It's a pretty open and permeable arrangement. So this is a little bit of a map of the policy development. So Cape Town statement back in 2016, and Parks for All policy, which is a little bit of a umbrella one. National Park City policy, so as that movement has started, World Urban Parks has jumped in as a supporter of that, so it's the policy to back that 25 national park cities by 2025, so big target. Then in 2018, last year, Children Play a Nature policy, and from the Congress in Melbourne, the Melbourne Statement. And so we'll add on to that. By the end of today, we'll have the Kazan Statement as well. So you've got a line of policy work running through. So that's about the priorities. So it's just an example of some of this policy development around the national park, the city, and the impact that we've been able to have. So there was a what if in 2013. Is this an idea that could work? This is a partnership that formed out of that, the National Park City Foundation, plus Salzburg Global Seminar and World Urban Parks, saying, yes, this is an idea that we can actually run with. What's its shape going to be? What's it going to look like? So back in July, there was the launch of the London National Park City. So fantastic to have the city to sign on to that and to have leadership from London. Fantastic. The first of 25 cities in the short space of time.
I attended and signed the charter on behalf of
Yeah. And there it is. Where's your signature, Peter? Somewhere? Anyway, yep, the charter. So, hugely ambitious target, but to me it makes a lot of sense. I mean, there'll be a lot of cities who will be saying, why wouldn't we actually jump on board and be part of that? So to me, when people say ambitious target, I'm looking at it and saying, I reckon that's really doable. So this is the policy push that World Urban Parks has undertaken. So at the moment, we've got London is actually declared, we've got Glasgow and Adelaide that are well advanced in the process. So really right on the brink. Adelaide's really fired up at it. I don't know much about Glasgow, but that's on the way. And we have Newcastle in the UK, Galway in Ireland, and Sydney, Australia, who are exploring that possibility. So here we go. So there was a survey of members. That's how this list was developed. So all these possible policy areas came out of that survey process. So things that people were wanting the organisation to pick up and push forward as advocacy targets. So things to put the focus into. So just as the National Park City process has focused people's energy and attention, this is this sort of list to say, okay, is this what World Urban Parks is going to take on next and start to progress through? So from that, I'm going to press this button about 5 times. There we go. There's a top 10. So I'm afraid I have to get a bit closer myself just to read what we've got. So
I recommend this.
I have to go to the optometrist when I get back. This is not working. So from that list was distilled a ranking. So people put weightings on which ones they thought were most important. So what we've got is benefits of parks. So this messaging that we all need when we want to advocate to our political masters and to the wider community. What are the benefits of parks, and how do we start to quantify that and put shape around it? So that's come out as a number one, and we've had 24 people ranking that in that top 10. Is that's an accurate way of describing that? Yeah. Climate change, not surprisingly, the second priority for that sort of focus. Economic value of parks, health benefits, leadership, park management principles, the social aspects of green space, strategies and planning, and technology. So out of that top 10, even the lowest one there, has people voting for it and saying this is actually worthwhile. So there's the top 3 benefits of parks: climate change and economic value of parks. Now, in my mind, I've got some thoughts around this, and I won't say what they are because this is what we're actually trying to access from you, and we'll get to move forward on that. So, in your groups, or group, as it happens, it's an opportunity to look at the list, and I'll flip back to that so we've actually got it up there, and people who do have eyes that work will be able to read, and we'll know what we're talking about. This can actually probably move.
Yeah,
I won't play with it. And the questions, and I think this is just like a quick 5-minute discussion, is there anything missing? So we've gone through this process, but this is not a perfect and beautifully orchestrated thing that'll produce something that's flawless. This is the opportunity to say, has this process actually missed anything? There might be something that wasn't such an issue 6 months ago, but is actually rising up. So we're just looking at that that question of have we missed something out of it? And the second thing is for each table of all the many here to say, is that top 3 actually right for you, or do you see that actually differently? How does that feel? So I think that will be probably a fairly simple exercise. So we'll go back. There we go. So that's the top 10 with benefits of parks, climate change and economic values, the top 3. We can now have that quick discussion. What have we missed anything out of that list?
Where would you put research in that context?
Research. So research of what?
I think we are partnering with UCC and University College Belfast to apply for European funding to undertake a body of research into the benefits of public open space in the context of health and so forth.
Yeah.
That application went in September, partnering 8 cities in Europe: Belfast, Cork, Barcelona, Porto, city in Ukraine, Zurich, I think there's one other. So where would that fit in?
Could we research
Would you override
under each of those areas?
Yeah.
Advocacy areas. But from my perspective, I mean, 3 and 4 are part of 1.
So 3
and 4 are included in 1.
Yeah. Can I just hold that thought there and just pick up on the research side of things? Just as a comment. When Parks Victoria developed this Healthy Parks, Healthy People concept, someone was talking on radio in Melbourne to someone there, and the question was, well, what research have you got behind this Healthy Parks, Healthy People concept? And the answer was, we just thought it was a good idea. So then a partnership was formed with Deakin University in Melbourne, and their focus was not to do new research, but to actually mine the existing. And there was a massive amount of material that was there, and it took a bit of effort to put that together. You also have the internet, and research. You'll find research just doing a simple Google search, but it's not particularly organised. So there's no shortage of it. But I guess there's a question about what is it? Do you want research on particular topics, or are you thinking about research?
No, I'm just raising it in the context of obviously the preference of members.
Yeah,
Top 10, and you isn't required.
Yeah. Are there any other thoughts on that research question?
Is this actually seeking research or is somebody else?
No.
Well, let's
have these top sections.
That's what. Yeah, Liam mentioned. He said, "Well, what about? Have we thought about research?" And I guess I'm trying to say, so this is about new research. Is it research on topics, or is it the organising of existing?
So I think we've got a committee that's organising the collation of research around areas that are most interesting, and we've even thought about, do we really want to use our own database, or do we want to use some of these big world databases and simply be able to draw from that or draw people's attention to it. IFPRA, of course, if we look right at the benefit of parks, funded a meta-study of the 250
peer-reviewed
peer-reviewed scientific journal studies, and that was actually quite useful. It's not a peer that had been done before.
Yeah.
Whether that's worth updating because of the growth, the scientific study, that was worth spending money on. Otherwise, I think it's almost a service of being able to draw from our membership around the topic.
I would say coming out of the advocacy itself, that would identify areas of research where there is a gap, there is a specific gap that can be filled through responsibly shared research or some sort of partnership arrangement for research to take place with the advocacy people within the partly advocating for research to happen in specific areas that are identified by the
I wonder whether Parks actually needs just a position on, is it going to be someone else's huge bundle of research that we just access, or is there a role for Urban Parks to be part of collating them for our own purposes? I don't know the answer to that.
It's when we see something, whether it's a conference theme or a committee, our advocacy committees will be drawing research to support what they're doing. It's quite possible that there would be a group of, I don't know, 5 park agencies that would like to sponsor something around the economic value of parks. That's been done before.
Do we now have a kind of easy gateway to access to these researches? Do we all in the world of Urban Parks know that if we want to use some information that there is, so what's the gateway to the information?
I think
You
there is. So IFPRA has an Deakin University for Parks Victoria put together a lot of material.
Urban Parks has got a committee supporting this.
Yeah.
It's been a bit slow coming out of the blocks, and they've realised that there are actually some big existing international databases which we don't want to duplicate, but perhaps we can draw from that and then from our own members from time to time around key topics if we want. I think it has to be pretty fluid.
So which committee is this that's got carriage for that?
Is it Sushma and Trisha were leading that?
Yeah, and Sushma,
Yes.
sounds right?
How was it?
Yeah, he produces a report for us ideally every month that goes into the newsletter that does exactly that. He pulls together the 12 academic articles and then we provide that out. But
Of general interest.
yeah, general interest, yeah, but yeah, definitely that committee is in charge of I think it's knowledge standards committee in developing those mechanisms for research within the broader context of the association among all these topics and more.
Okay, so I think that needs to be, that question needs to be given to that committee to take forward and say, this is something that wireless is actually required. Can I now come to Kevin's?
I think to clarify, Peter's question was, can he go into World Urban Parks and just get a reference number if he wants some data on climate change, for instance?
Yeah.
Is that user friendly? That's the question. That may not be there at the minute.
No. Maybe not that detailed, but just,
Direct you in.
how to seek my way through all the information to find something
Yeah.
through our website.
Yeah.
It almost makes me wonder whether if you want to do something like that, you go to the committee.
Yeah.
People who are
I think that's
just
to
ask
answer
their
my-
advice.
Yeah.
I think we're still quite open as to the benefits.
Yeah, but this is where I think the organisation needs to decide whether it's going to be a massive database itself, just the knowledge of knowing where to go, or whether it's going to sponsor or create partnerships with other organisations to do that. It's just I don't think it's a complicated thing. It's just
My sense of it is that each individual advocacy group is responsible for collating relevant material that's then easily accessible, checked to some degree by the Urban Parks as robust and relevant, made available links or
So we've
Captured that. I would just add to that, Digby was I guess it was probably 3 years ago now, the benefits of park document that.
It was an IFPRA product.
Oh, that was an IFPRA product? Okay.
So it's possibly almost 5 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but that had the different sections
valuable.
of benefits of parks and then a bunch of articles within each of those
It
sections.
was a meta study drawing from
Okay.
250 of them known, and of course there will be more scientific journals
Usually
all
quite a lot.
together.
I've referenced it quite a lot, and what was really good is that it showed where there was gaps, where there in terms of knowledge and understanding as well. And even where there were studies that were sort of different from what we would have anticipated.
Need some kind of focus status. I mean, if this is going to be the top 10 things people want, or pick, in your case, you might be preparing something around whatever climate change, you'd like to be able to research that better, or it might be as well that Urban Parks grows its university membership, that they may also get a different need.
Point, Kevin, which I've stopped you on. Did I hear you correctly? You reckon number 1, number 3, and number 4?
4 and 3 fit into the
Is that right?
That's what I feel.
That you'd wrap all those up as one?
Is a benefit of parks.
Yeah. What do people think about that? That the headline there.
I know why I know why it may be, you know, economic justification of parks might be seen as a different I'm not suggesting. I think the problematic piece is the general sort of statement benefits of parks, rather than it's not. It's too broad.
Kevin, it almost makes you wonder if you did group those 3 together, it's almost potentially advocacy. Is that the level of interest that it's more than research? This is a discussion area.
Well, this is the advocacy list, and my reading of that is that our members are saying they want some readily accessible material from us that they can use to communicate with their communities, with their political masters, with their colleagues, to reinforce what we all know. They put some meat on the bone to say it seems like people are asking for that.
You know, evidence-based practice is key. And you know, the way in the medical world do what's called a Cochrane review. So where they took all of the views on the benefits of aspirin and sort of assess it, and they were able to give a consolidated assessment of what are the benefits of aspirin. You know, of course, we're thousands of studies.
Yeah.
So, like that, what we're trying to do in terms of evidence-based practice through that is say, what's the economic what's your house value go up by if it's close to a park? All that stuff. There's lots of studies on what they call a hedonic value of parks. Which you could, the advocacy group, for instance, could say we're going to sponsor equivalent of a copy of the hedonic value. From that. This is the Urban Parks, you know, peer-reviewed hedonic cure.
That's right, yeah.
Something that would be very valuable.
So
it's the international.
If we were to, is this something that we would agree to as a group, that number 1, number 3 and 4 could be bunched together, and that becomes a very strong direction for advocacy? Like, so there's work that's been, Digby's talked about the IFPRA work 5 years ago, so maybe it's not so much starting from scratch, but taking that document and working to update it and push it again.
We updated it every 5 years. That could potentially be valuable. Because it did a couple of things. First of all, it referenced the 250 and it gave a kind of process so that you could see them if you wanted to go get them. But then it also collated them and said that of the 250, the most popular, most research benefits, which they equated with being perhaps the most powerful, were whatever it was, the health benefits.
I even suggested in the introductory presentation, I think you never heard of Urban Parks, so we went through it and we showed the 6 out of 19 causes of death that humans are approved by access to parks. And that came, partly through partly through World Health Organization study, which was referenced in this certain book.
If we were to update that study, there's a couple of avenues. That was actually well, it was led out of the University of Agricultural University of Sweden, because it was Cecil, Professor Cecil Bennett. Yes, but it was also done in collaboration with the University of Malaysia and somewhere else as well. There's 3 universities, but we have university members that might be interested in doing that study, and we could potentially allocate some supporting sum of money to do it, because it's so overarching, you get great value out of it, and we could become known as the organisation that delivers that and updates
That Cochrane review kind of style.
collection of all the research.
Yeah.
Are we efficient?
Yeah. Is that something we're saying?
Yeah.
So the resounding
That would be
resolution
very big,
of this large group. I think that's
All in
terrific.
favour said no.
In fact, that was what I had immediately thought, Kevin, when I looked at that list, as those 3 belong together. An update, something that World Urban Parks becomes known for. That sounds brilliant to me. Okay, so we've got that. Is there anything else from here that we want to say? I guess my first comment is I'm not sure what some of these things actually mean. They'll mean different things to different people. So leadership as an advocacy area. I don't know what we're advocating, or whether it's something that we just do, like it's just the way we act as leaders, and we, like any organisation, would develop leadership.
Or is it something that translates into one of the conference themes to discuss leadership?
Sure, yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's a very broad topic. It's embedded in so many different ways. It's the whole social media time. Everybody can lead.
Does it relate back to the academy maybe and training of leaders?
Developing leadership skills.
But, I mean, it's to me, it's just a normal. I would want that happening.
It's like communication.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, is
park
that
management principle. Oh,
is
sorry.
that leadership that's specific to parks? Is that an issue in England where traditional parks were mostly disappeared?
Yeah.
Perhaps today you're looking for new skills, or people who've replaced them and taken over those roles don't have any such skills.
Yeah.
I think that's a very strong point, and that came up with one day seminar I've done a few months ago, very much about that, how we ensure that technical know-how translates into leadership.
Training process.
Yeah.
Should there be?
Yeah.
And where is the leadership coming from?
Yeah.
And you're right, Clive. In New Zealand and Australia, it came out of a number of things. Most of Chicago school, and you have specifiers and providers, so you're starting to separate your policy planners from the operational people. Then you've got the let's say the profitable areas of what we do, which might be leisure services, and those that start to get contracted out. What you've done is you started to reduce leaders that were once at the second tier, or certainly no lower than the third tier of large organisations, have been fractioned out, separated, contracted out, to the point that you're down at the fourth tier, where the leadership's coming from, and the level of influence is significantly less.
It was down to the budget line, last call on the budget. When you start to separate and get out the responsibilities and delegated structure like that, it's very hard to be, to actually have leadership.
The US was one of the last powerhouses of having a high level of leadership, because the Parks and Recreation Director, or Parks Rec and Culture, was always part of the executive leadership. But you wouldn't find that in Australia.
The pushback that we mentioned there, the communication, knowledge, evidence-based practice, that's the kind of pushback against that you will show we have the solutions and the development, particularly in a situation where it's the public are more informed, are better communicated to about the issues. Basically, we want somebody that's coming to us with a proposition that is a solution. So I think that's where, they say knowledge is power, and that's why the advocacy groups are so.
The London National Park City is almost showing that the leadership is switching more to a grassroots power of bringing the public together rather than having leadership figures that are high level of influence. Well, organisation tradition.
I was just thinking, there's a bit of, I'm not quite sure how what's happening actually with the national park, but there is a political issue, and many local authorities in this way of sustainability with a portfolio help them, and who's taken on we have one long-standing sustainability officer, it's actually got 2 members of staff, but it's separate from parks. It's a fairly new arrangement of policy for us, like us. How it's going to link.
To claim actually, there's some debate in World Urban Parks about the International Livable Community Awards and whether we take it on. Part of the debate, I think Gil was on one side that said, no, I think we need to be more focused on parks. But when you think, what is it in the benefit of parks that they're creating? We're creating livable and sustainable spaces, and it was at that level that mayors started to tune in and think, we want our city to be known as being a livable city or sustainable city. And now we've suddenly got some profile and relevance at a level that can be influential. So if we are really in the business of creating livable and sustainable communities, then we have to think at the bigger picture level what our parks.
Exactly. And it's all, you have to carefully relate to the fact that that's what the public are beginning to be more focused on. Came up in discussions yesterday. That's doing that as well, and that's they're using that as better conditions for people in personal space around their houses. This is this is their resource, and actually drawing people, workers into the area. Human capital, as they call it, to actually give them an economic advantage over the
So can I wrap this part of the discussion up a little bit? What I think we've got to is that we're saying these three tying together. We've got to talk about climate change, well, a little bit, I guess, sustainability, but that's a number 2 clearly on this list. Is that
climate change and resilience?
That makes sense to me that every organisation is dealing with climate change. But where does World Urban Parks position itself in terms of that? It's just a question that I think
those big outcomes on the sustainability.
Really. So there's I think there's a little bit of a discussion somewhere about what that actually means. But we've got that. So we've got 1 and 2, and if we look down here, is there a third issue?
See, park management principles and leadership are quite close. Certainly in alignment with that as well.
It's getting more operational and managerial, isn't it? People want to be able to discuss some of the bigger nuts and bolts as well as the outcomes. Is this in the area of best practices?
Yes.
When people are sharing how we're actually organising ourselves, doing better management practice. These others are big aspects of benefit and environmentally, socially, economically. But people also, a lot of us are trying to operate in a changing environment. And because we're worldwide, some are catching up. Some of us are advancing in some areas more. share that. It's almost technical.
Just going back to the benefits of park and sort of evidence-based practice approach there, and the same thing we could apply to leadership and management, which are structures in place, evidence supports a particular approach to management. Conservation and all sorts of allied issues.
Is there a technical bucket up there, I'm wondering? I might call it broadly technical, around just it's organisational.
Yeah.
But it could even be...
Is that park management principle?
Yes, well, yes it is, but I think even technology. There's a range of things there that are more technical operational that is still of interest to members. And it could be quite a high level. Some of it could be a discussion around do you have council-controlled organisations? And do you outsource or insource? Or what's an optimal mix? That we can have that debate.
So what's working well, what's working not so well? Where there have been studies done around that, to support particular approach.
I mean, for those that have contracted out, some of them now are the fourth or fifth generation of contracting. They've learned an awful lot along the way.
Yeah.
Still be shared.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so on competitive tendering, it should never have been applied to parks.
So,
It sort of scours, eventually, it
Yes,
scours them.
it's very blunt in
So
the
you're having
yeah.
like savings and cutting everything, feature, local features, you're left with this green carpet that was mentioned and some trees. That's where it's heading,
And that's just it.
lost the vision.
But as Bill has to say, there's plenty of money. It's just a matter of, it comes back to that leadership and our advocacy and making it clear about what that benefit is. So
Mostly
maybe
it's
it's going
choice.
to this Congress because clearly residents sees a benefit.
yeah.
But it's very,
It's been well advocated.
So if we were to, there's one and two, if we were to come up with a third,
Why just combine those?
So-
Leadership management and technology.
leadership, management and technology.
Well,
Yeah, no, that's good. And
something like that. Anyway, I agree, the leadership and the management thing, they are very tied together.
it's hard to say.
Sitting tied together and includes a lot of technology.
The leadership could span some of these other benefits. Maybe it's more at the management and technology level, the organisation.
I like the conceptualisation. It's so broad in one sense, but it needn't be if we describe it the right way for our organisation.
Somehow it sits together when you are,
Yeah,
especially when you are contracting and discussing with the inside business.
yeah,
That organisation,
With managers and
technology, something like that.
Yeah, organisation, technology. Because that includes.
But you don't have to mention the technology, it just sits in there. Because
Governance?
It's a kind of tool. It's a tool.
just leave it out.
Maybe we say plus technology, something we're going to capture.
what I'm going to do is leave that there. No, trust me. I've got some work for you. Okay, so we've done a little bit of distilling. This makes strong sense to me. I'm really liking what we've done with this list of 10. We've completely smashed it up, made a mess of it, but I think it's good. Okay, so we've done that. Now, here's where the work actually starts. So, having coalesced us all into one group, I reckon I want to split us into three groups to do this for each one of these areas purpose of policy, key objectives or aims, call to action statements, partners and innovations. All right. Now, we've got 7 of us, so we've got 2 groups of 2 and 1 of 3, or Ben, you can float around and float like a butterfly and sting like a bee or something like that. And if we were to self-organise into these 3 groups, this group actually comes back and tells us what that is, because we're talking about the purpose of the policy and the objectives and the call to action. So we've got plenty of big sheets of paper. We've got pens to write with. This is not going to be perfect, but it's sort of like it's almost like a brief that we can take back and say, look, people sitting around the table, grappling with these issues and trying to go down to the next step and say, what is it we're trying to achieve? That then becomes a really useful document for Urban Parks to pick up that forward. We're good with that? Now, sorry? I'd like us to split, just have 2 people focus on one area and then bring them back in.
So in a group, we'll be doing this for about half an hour.
I think so. So I'm looking, it's 10:44 now. We have theoretically till 11:30, correct? So I think half an hour would take us to 11:15, and then it's time to come back together and say this is what we did. So half an hour in groups.
I don't know what that is.
Bit of paper, pen, a scribe. So who's putting their hand up for number 3?
I don't think it's
Yep. That didn't work well, did it? Climate change. Who's on to that?
We got that.
We got that's a good place to start.
Here. And benefits is who is left.
Yeah.
Is this in your baggage? Or maybe a photo?
It's a game in terms of communication.
Of what we come up with.
Yeah.
There's access to information.
Yeah, easy.
It's to facilitate that.
Could we say relevance in different releases? Sometimes it's park agency choose the webinar top. We might have an issue that's quite operational
Yes.
eliminating
Yes, but smart approaches.
So we're combining the number 1. What's our purpose, Clive?
Provision of urban parks. Provision of urban parks. Yeah, that's the original creation because of industrialisation and benefits that were seen to be necessary and available by providing access to open space.
So in terms of the purpose for urban parks would be to give members access to resource material.
I almost want to say as well, if I can
Yeah.
interject here, is the purpose of the benefits to advocate on behalf of departments to their elected officials? So is it essentially, is it a policy or is it a statement? Like, is it for, and I guess I'm really getting to, is it for advocacy work? So getting those quick facts out that, Kevin was saying that can help advocate for it, or is it for operational purposes, for your department, for your staff, or is it a little of both, So I guess to get to the purpose of it, is it that advocacy piece, larger piece where you're touching the surface, or is it more a deeper dive into the benefits for operational purposes?
So what's
Is it just initiated practice?
Sure, yeah, sure.
So I think that's, and he also talked about community partnerships. So to me, that's sort of quite that's like the concept almost.
Yeah.
And then what that says to me about the purpose is that it's to provide members with
I don't think it's expanding
useful
with on topics doesn't matter coming out of the academy. I can see roundtables being formed. I can see groups being conference subgroups
for communities, politicians, and staff.
But in fairness to the CPD,
So that's representative you want to add or subtract or?
Names like what information is available to access and funding, this race
could be in the context of
as long as that's accessible somewhere in the background.
Yeah.
It's around this managing.
Okay. So the purpose, objectives or aims.
Develop skills.
Yeah, skill development stroke CPD.
I guess is that
I don't get the impression that someone incorrectly should not be its
whatever else.
He's providing a service to the operation.
skill development is
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, altering ecosystems.
You're saying,
Extinction of species in some cases, maybe.
look, this is authority rule as parks, and here's sort of research or the context to
I was just thinking about the means,
We know that
or how you can react to
a good park goes in, there wasn't one that probably
yes, is trying to reduce it. So what's the purpose of the policy? If that's one place,
some
Purpose of policy.
yeah.
Well,
Is it?
to address everything that's up here, basically. Yeah, to minimize and mitigate the effects of climate change, really, isn't that right?
You're right.
Yeah.
To address
Well, not only accessible, but also relevant, because, the benefits of the parks in Africa is not really the same for Europe. So making it accessible and applicable to the world.
Yeah, to address risk.
Well, firstly, the objective is,
Like, be a call to action
yeah,
of the policy.
so it's still, one of the objectives is to make sure that we're not just What do you reckon this means, Ben?
Yeah.
Call to action statements. Is it, are we calling World Urban Parks to action to do this?
I think that
Or are we
We're
calling
calling members and the users of the policy to action.
Yeah.
It's almost, first thing that pops into my mind is the difference between, I guess, purpose and objectives with call to action is essentially your vision and mission statements. One's more high level, one's more operational.
And this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what are we? So what are we going to do? We're going to get hold of existing benefits of parks, docks, including IFPRA and healthy people.
Yeah.
So there's at least those two, and there's probably numerous others that have been. Check research gaps.
Yes, back it out. Yes.
I guess you
Yeah, so that could be a key innovation.
review contemporary
Webinars based around these key.
The academy supports it.
politics.
It's almost like what it all needs is these people are a bit isolated.
Technical.
You either try to put them together. One of them says, oh, I've got this problem. He says, well, who would like to talk about that? Or you can simply cherry pick a bit. The question is excellent. Across a couple of years, a couple of years. And say, these are the board.
Keep current along those
Or
lines.
you put a call.
Yeah, it's a currency.
Trying to give them value for money.
Yes.
Something concrete.
Do you think of
No, and the
That's it?
with,
Are you a big fan?
yes, key partners, which we've worked with to say create partnerships. That's implied. Sort of want to say develop a platform or a framing for this. Like it's, you do this work and it all just happens, no one knows about it. Half of this is actually about how do we, through really proactive, make this a razzle dazzle. Like it's when we put it out, it's a really important thing. You try and draw attention. So it's not like a marketing plan.
I was about to say, yeah, like sharing and disseminating the information. Yeah.
It's all focused on, you find this, it comes out tangentially to discussions. I'd love to do change report.
What's that? How's that timing going? Sort of 11:05. We are just cruising. Okay, so it's
Sorry?
It's English.
It's endless, but that could be endless
key partners.
demonstrated. Yeah, around Thursday.
Universities. National Park Running Associations, just trying to think of like the mechanisms for sharing the information, you know, kind of going top down, and a lot of our members, you know, we are the international body, so then instead of working with parallel international departments, which can be a partner, but working specifically with the different national associations to spread it out.
We don't have a parks association in the UK.
No.
Countryside.
There is England, national
But nothing like, I guess, in our community. National Recreation Park Association.
No, there was one, and it sort of it got merged into sports, and then the sports took over, had more funding, and the fundamental strokes. And we just give that a jump. 15 years ago, there was a recognition of that by the government, and they put parks into what was called the Council for Architecture and Built Environment.
Yes.
But then that all died when the Labour government finished something 8 years ago.
Okay. All right. So sponsor organisations. So thinking there's almost a little bit of a loop type thing where you're thinking about who do you want to sell this to. if you want to sell them to them, you should be involved at the start. So it's kind of a process.
Yeah.
Influence national framing. Climate change. Okay, we'll skip the next one. Okay. Oh, we can put it in between. No, I'll get another sheet. Here. Okay. Key part.
Statement that I love to, that in my mind really sums this up well is in the whole process, you know, distinguishing the difference between plan implementation
Key
and
partners.
plan implementation. So are you using something and then saying, okay, there it is, or throughout the process?
Again,
right,
difficult because
plan
basically it's everybody.
implementation.
Yeah, but I suppose they're
in
saying
my
the
mind,
key
that's
ones, related disciplines, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah, exactly. So having that frame of mind at the start, over that long time of mind period, you know, to say that
I suppose
you
you're
want to
looking
use
at
something that is
key partners,
useful, actionable,
related
and is of significance rather than
Yes.
using something that's not
Higher
on the
level
market.
first.
You know, for going to selling.
Yeah.
I understand this one, that's this one, that's the other, so tell your kids what to do. We are urban parks, so I suppose the question they're asking is, who should we link with? I suppose planners. Of course. Yeah. Landscape architects. Yeah.
And the organisation
Yeah.
said, this is great
And
work,
was-
this fantastic work.
Flood engineers,
Oh, no.
landscape architects first.
Yeah, exactly. And it happens, right? So,
Which I put as a learning,
Yeah.
a learning thing, and partly it's my fault for how I correctly not done that.
You separated the
yeah.
Anyway, I think that is,
You know, we have city planners in our organization. Yeah, absolutely, because that's one of the risks there, we have risk of flooding.
Is that the right term? Agricultural.
and in a way, it's all
Oh,
an
education,
organisation
yeah.
type thing as well. So who would,
I suppose, you know, you've just tipped me out there, food supply is a high risk if we just put it there.
Yeah.
they're saying, yes, benefits of parks.
Risk.
We really,
They didn't ask
we need to
parks.
identify risk and put a
Anyway.
Well, we'll open with that.
Yeah.
These are the risks.
We're just trying this.
Yeah.
is there as a co-publisher.
Agricultural documents, so landscape architects, planners, city planners.
So,
I love that it provides that ownership,
Um,
you know, and investments into it, so it
Is it included in this?
What's in there?
Forestry.
Forestry.
Yeah,
No,
5 minutes,
yeah,
yeah.
no, separate forestry. Yeah.
okay, just 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Innovation rates.
Okay.
You there, you can join there, or you can join the
I think it's always coming back to this, and to me anyway. And it's not like you think about some technology thing. It's really thinking. Market and sort of like just embed.
or how we sending a policy on commemorative trees and something like that. We call it central grab. So that's bulletin board stroke.
Someone was thinking, is 5 years too long in between? So that's probably a bigger question, right?
Plan analysis, bulletin board.
That's a great. Depends what you do in that individual phase. It might actually be like a really good period if you have a sequenced plan, like your next review starts straight away.
True. Well, and in the academic world, right, those things take time. So, and I think we identified elsewhere. Is it just going to be academics, or are we looking elsewhere to gather information? So that all plays into the years, whether we're just sticking with meta-analysis of academic articles and journals, or are we grabbing examples of policy documents elsewhere in the world, other initiatives and advocacy items underneath the umbrella of benefits and parks. So then that might change the timeline of 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Because parks are so diverse, it's probably breaking down into different categories which all relate. That's why all those categories complete.
2 minutes.
Too much time digging.
I already see
I think how this policy can be used to support and grow
Policy
So it's a little bit sponsor and co-publisher, so that become a product that you it's obviously available to everyone, but do you get some particular benefits out of this relationship? Any other innovations? I don't think it necessarily is massively innovative. It's just like stuff that's been done before. It's doing it again, thinking about how you do it, the process and the result that you want at the end, and how that meshes in with the organisation, with Urban Parks as a thing of value, not just.
Please, sir, we've finished our.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to visit each table, and when we get bored, we'll move on to the next exciting table. So no, you stay there because
How could we be more efficient? Can we save money? Can we do this better? Can we gain skills in an area? What are good practices? That kind of thing. So we came back to the purpose of how can we lead and operate better? So taking turns for this Q&A. New management approaches so that we can stay closer to the cutting edge. We want it to be relevant at all levels of the organisation. We can all reach each other through webinar technology and the internet, whether it's a unit responsible for interpretation, education, trying to find their fellow units in other like organisations around the globe. They can. And just sharing good practices, different approaches or solutions to issues. So that would be the purpose of having this.
Yep.
So the key objective would be how to answer the how question that we all face, and to share good practice. So again, getting very back to basics, back to nuts and bolts issues. Practical needs to be practically applicable at all levels of the organisation, practical applications. It needs to reinforce skill development in the organisation with concrete benefits to work with Urban Parks members.
Some kind of statement around that would be that we want to develop and facilitate effective and efficient organisations, and also to increase the competency of the organisations. We could have it just nice and tight kind of statement.
When we talk about that part of things, really often we're talking about developing a part of an organisation to be more effective within the organisation. That's a fits within that, doesn't it?
You know, Parks Forum had peer reviews, which could be a whole of organisation or a part of the organisation, because it was cross-cutting. It just expanded up and down, and it brought your peers around to look at what you're doing and bring their best practices and views. So that, we actually didn't chuck that in the innovations, but maybe that's one of the things, the peer review service, which we inherited from Parks Forum, could be one of those.
Urban Parks Academy, agency heads, NGOs, third level institutions, universities in particular, and advocacy committees as well, that feed into this process. The advocacy committee.
Just the buy-in of particularly agency heads, but it works for all organisations. And then a quick brainstorm around the innovations. It particularly suits roundtable webinar discussions. So any group of agency heads can say, we've got this issue and we'd like to discuss it. Who else would like to join us for a webinar? And just advertise that across the network. This idea of even a bulletin board, it could be, has anybody got a policy on fire management or something? Someone over it. California might say, yes, we do. So we'll fall through. And then you can adapt it as that. That's one of the great advantages of particularly the public service component of our membership is we share stuff. Or it might even be commercial, but it's not commercially sensitive because they're only operating in one country and they have to share that.
Or could be commemorative trees, or for instance, what's your policy on doing that in your parks?
We talked about staff exchange, and that it's not always that common. But we suddenly had this thought: what about a virtual staff exchange? When we've got our young millennials who could actually take people on a virtual tour of parts of their organisation or level of interest, and have a discussion with other young professionals about that. It'd be an icing on the cake if you could physically go there, but more and more we've got the capacity to take people into our organisations in a technical way, and maybe even work on a project together online, so that they're actually working for that agency.
It's a great initiative.
It could inform conference content.
We had an idea
And we could
that we had focal point in the conference actually.
Yeah.
Okay, your time's up. Very good. Move on.
Thanks, guys.
So on this table here, there we are. Benefits of combining those three topic areas. Digby, I took the liberty of paraphrasing what you said about, and it seemed to me to be like a very great way to conceptualise this as a product of great value. That if why just do it once? If it's something that you can publish and republish and becomes part of the value of World Urban Parks. If you want to scribble anything on that to add to that or make it more, what you said, but that to me was like a really good seed to go, okay, if we think about it that way, what does that actually mean? So, purpose of policy: to provide World Urban Parks members with useful advocacy material for communities, politicians, staff, to access funding, any of those sort of things. Objectives: funding, influencing organisations, putting weight and authority behind proposals of what you're doing. You're quoting world authority with research that's backed up. It's actually got it's got some weight to it.
You're
Still,
the economic operators as well. That's very strong.
yeah. So, to the extent that you can make statements with confidence about the economic value, that's something that people go, oh, right, okay, that's not just something you've made up for our area. Distilled, reputable, accessible information, and we talked about the importance of how is this going to be relevant for different countries and different cultures, and that's quite a challenge. If we think, I mean, we're all representing white, Western, established parks cultures, and we've, between us, have very little knowledge of the rest of the world. So that's an issue. We can't forget that if we're actually going to be a world authority. Call to action stations. This is almost like the start of a plan for how we do it, but it's just the getting hold of existing. So what have we already got? So this work's been done before at least twice, and probably as many other sort of documents of that type around. We look at research gaps. If you're going to do this every 5 years, then review contemporary politics, social, technical issues. Keep it current, updated, and then we start to think, and it goes on to page 2, is how do we actually share and disseminate and promote, and that actually becomes a really important thing. So not just plan and implementation, but planning to implement, which is Ben's contribution there. Like a really important thing is thinking of how do we actually want to land this, what's it actually going to look like? And a commitment to review every 5 years, or is it 4? What is the right sort of period of time? And do we reckon this is actually something that can represent the organisation quite strongly? So partners, universities, of course, different national parks, recreation parks type organisations. Are there sponsor organisations? There are people who would be prepared to put resources into this. And then the next question is, well, who are actually going to sell this policy to? Who are the people who are going to say, I really want that, I need that? Are there co-publishers who would, rather than coming in at the end and saying, here's a great piece of work that you'll be interested in, are there people who we'd contact at the start and say, do you want to be associated with this piece of work, and what could you contribute to it? Could you contribute people, or what's a special piece of information that you might have that
Be similar to the academy with Emily.
Yeah.
Be similar. You can hand on to that.
Yeah. And if you've got a massive number of co-publishers, does that become a prestige thing? Is it something that you can put some particular value on? And I guess thinking about the partners, are we talking? I mean, what sort of product are we talking about? Is it a meta-analysis type of thing? How is it going to be best developed as a really concise piece of info? I don't think we're talking like a 80-page, worthy academic document. It's got to be really accessible information and point to a whole lot of supporting information. Innovations, I don't think there's a lot of innovations. I mean, it's been done before. So the main things would be rethinking how we market and embed the results, and also just rethinking whether the policy can be something that actually helps to support and grow membership, actually bring resource into the organisation rather than being a cost of resources.
Yeah. It calls to mind something with me initially. We're Capes-based, we're Scottish. And we used to produce all of this very
technical stuff.
Punchy, but it was done in a very punchy way. But you could see it was funded for a few years, and then it was used very well at the time. So it'd be good if that was reinvented.
Yeah.
Okay. climate change, and then we're
Yeah. It is. We go back again, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's easier.
We started off with the risks, just reinforcing what they are. Changing weather patterns, risk of flooding and settlements at rivers and coast, erosion. So keep reinforcing that. Purpose of the policy to address obviously the above risks and implement measures to mitigate severity of climate change, to assist organisations in decision making, influence national and local government in framing policy on climate change, and that will be globally obviously all organisations. Key objectives, names, do you want to?
You all just go on.
Okay. Educate on the risks of no action taken. There we go. And make available database of existing research. And there's a lot out there again. Parks policies and parks management and that. Make that available to national and local government, NGOs and so forth, all those involved in decision making. Establish milestones for action. If that's something we can begin to do. Key partners, obviously our related disciplines, landscape architects, planners, city planners, politicians, agricultural organisation, forestry, engineering disciplines. We should list them.
There's potentially NGOs there. Some of those almost, it's getting on the edge of activist groups. That's some very good knowledge. Energy. We're trying to be good at this.
Yeah, we have politicians in, obviously, and you have Greta, the Dawes Group. Key innovations, zoning land for green space and forestry, protection of existing ecosystems, more National Park Foundation, establish best practice actions, which relate back to us, the database for research. So, some of the thoughts we have on this.
Obviously, I have a recently established climate change and resilience committee, which is getting to grips with the sort of definitions of the different terms. At the moment, that's what we're focusing on for the next few months. What is resilience? What is climate change? What is green infrastructure? What are nature-based solutions? So that we've all internationally shared understanding and referencing something else.
Some countries have actually created agencies to deal with climate change.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking. I was relating to the story on our table, developing a Parks and Leisure Australia climate position paper. We had the difficulty of saying, well, we've got drought conditions in the southeast corner of South Australia, which is completely irrelevant to the Northern Territory, tropical, and a huge amount of rain at a regular time every year. So completely different, but that has a different set of impacts around it. So trying to write something broad, that we ended up referring heavily to Australian government documents about climate as the framework. So rather than we're climate scientists, we're actually just trying to draw the authorities into our industry and say, this is what it means, this is what this sort of that means for us. So it's probably, the equivalent would be all the UN work, which is...
Yes, that's exactly why we're sort of looking at EU technical documents and so we can all agree around that. Move on, so that at least when we're talking about potential action or solutions of that, it's all on the same, on
Yeah.
the same basis. And even for people, you know, looking in from outside, they say, well, that's what Urban Parks view of.
Yeah.
So you can hang it on an international framework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
the client
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
and resilient communities.
Yeah, and I
It's
guess,
got a glossary of terms to start with, you know.
yeah, well, there's a whole lot of work you don't have to do. And
Yes.
It's got authority that you
Yeah.
could never,
But it's just at least we're
Yeah.
on the same, we're on the same.
yeah. But then to me, the critical thing for this is, what are the headlines in here that are relevant for our industry? So when a member says, what do we think about climate change? There's actually an interpretation of what that means for the various elements of our
The other thing that's relevant to us in our organisations is that governments can have this policy, so this is where we should be going at government level, but how do you actually get people to follow that? And if local governments start to share a common approach, then you've got this kind of prairie fire at the local level adding up to something that supports that central government. And New Zealand Recreation Association is very good at this. The government actually helps fund their organisation because they're reaching at the community level that the government can't penetrate.
Yeah, that's so true. And in Australia, I think, well, certainly in Victoria, federal government and state government have been weak around that. Local government has done a lot of work. So it's almost a bottom up.
So we can unite the local government of the world at that level to
Promote,
to complement some of this United Nations.
Yeah.
It's interesting, we had recent local elections in May, and we were telling them the same. We have an SPC now, specifically on climate change.
Strategic Policy Commission.
Yeah, and the members are putting down motions, and they're looking for guidance as to what we do.
Looking for solutions.
Yeah.
And we need to, even within, or we need to be coordinating our approach. Yeah.
So there's an appetite among politicians
Very much so.
solutions,
And they're,
and the correct solutions, not just what around the periphery, maybe.
yeah, that and
Have a million trees here. And
pesticide reduction as well.
That goes down to very detailed level of practices.
Yes.
What kind of fuel you use,
Yes.
which
Yes.
electric devices.
Exactly.
But you need a milestone action plan.
Yeah.
Sharp.
So can I wrap this session up?
Yeah.
We're just a couple of minutes over time, but this has been fantastic, and thank you all so much for your contribution. From here, if you're, there's work to be done, plenty of work to be done, and things that people can be involved in to the amount that you want. You know, it's a self-driven sort of thing. It's not it shouldn't be an onerous burden on anyone. But if you're happy to be like a reference point or on a mailing list for future work around this, Ben, you know the names.
Yeah.
You've got the contact details.
Yeah, sure do.
If you haven't done a business card to Ben, would be really good.
Yes, please.
And what's going to happen is this will now, Ben's going to photograph these, and they then go back into Urban Parks Board
Yes, they will.
as a discussion. I think what we've done, we have actually changed what's come through with that, and I think it's been really good, focused and distilled some of that. So thank you so much for your efforts. Really appreciate it.
Can I give you a short kind of comment, well not comment, but just for you and for the Europe Committee and all the World Urban Parks people, we are going to publish next week in Finland a booklet, a guideline, what do I call it? A policy and guideline of sustainable public space development.
Great.
That comes all the way from city planning to detail planning to constructing and to maintenance and the whole life circle of public space, how it should be sustainably managed and planned. So it's going to be published next week. So I was thinking, would it be wise to make an English shortcut of it and publish somewhere?
Could I put that on
That
our
would be
agenda
fantastic.
for our November meeting?
Yes.
That we discussed how that would be sort of translated and distributed.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
with the bits and
Because I get a
pieces.
very tactile